Secret chord, David played and it pleased the Lord. But you don't really care for music, do you? Well, it goes like this, the fourth and fifth, the minor fall, the major lift, the love of king falls in hallelujah. station, got a ticket for my destination. And I'm on to one night stands, my suitcase and cloud and every stop is me and from the holy land, from the holy land.
Let us switch the guitars. We gotta get this set. We gotta get rid of this.
Welcome to Bunko Squad. The Bloomfield Rotary would like to thank you for your support in our effort to defeat Alzheimer's. A couple of things that I wanted to bring up ahead of time. If those of you who are seasoned like I am, you remember Dragnet on TV. This is a parody of Dragnet, and it is meant only in the greatest reverence toward that franchise. I'd like to welcome our friends from Quail Summit sitting in the front. And last night's audience had a great time. I think you're going to have a great time as well. Lots and lots of laughs. The cast is tremendous. You'll notice in your playbill that Andrea Borelli and Maria Sina are shown. They are both ill. So they will be picked up their roles will be picked up by others. I need to tell you the exits are that way. Pretty much the door you came in is the way you would go out in case of an emergency, which is not going to happen, so don't even worry about it. But I need to say that. The restrooms are also that way, and there are 3 of them, and they are basically unisex. So if you need to go, go. Of course, this is a non-smoking facility. So do that outside. I'll ask you to please turn off your cells. There are refreshments available, essentially at the intermission, and there will be music at the intermission. I need to let you know that in the second act, toward the end of the show, there will be some loud gunshots. So Please don't get nervous or scared or anything like that. They are not real guns. So, I know there's a policeman in the audience, so don't worry, we're good.
Might be more than one.
Oh, more than one? Okay. I'm innocent, I'm telling you. Please, enjoy the show.
Through the magic of theater, we welcome you to 1952. Fear not, at the conclusion of this production, you will be returned to 2022 as effortlessly as you arrived. To acquaint you with 1952, you should perhaps be informed of how the world looks. Britain's Prime Minister Winston Churchill will welcome a new Queen of the realm, Queen Elizabeth II. Similarly, in the United States, President Harry S. Truman is preparing to transfer the reins to the newly elected war hero, Dwight D. Eisenhower, former Allied commander. Well, World War II has been over for some 7 years now. The Korean conflict is of great concern, as is the scourge of polio, which will afflict over 50,000 people, mostly children, in the United States during 1952 alone. There is great hope, however, that Dr. Jonas Salk's vaccine will be effective. The phrase, "the greatest thing since sliced bread," will be first coined in 1952 by comedian Red Skelton. Sliced bread itself was first introduced in 1928. Speaking of bread, a loaf cost 16 cents. A postage stamp is 3 cents. And gasoline is getting up toward an outrageous 20 cents per gallon. The newest Ford automobile, fully loaded, could cost almost $2,400. And an average new home is selling for $7,750. Before you want to stay in 1952 to cash in on those bargains, though, you should know that the average annual household income is $3,515. Born in 1952 will be Mr. Potato Head, and also the author of this production. Coincidence? The hot new movies in 1952 are High Noon and Singing in the Rain. On Broadway, The King and I will debut to rave reviews. The very first rock and roll concert ever will be held in Cleveland, Ohio in 1952. Television is starting to become popular, yes, but radio is still king. Families gather around the radio each night to hear the adventures of their favorite stars. Imagination abounds as the stories unfold right before the ears. Now, you are in a radio studio as part of a live audience about to experience a weekly radio show being broadcast live. Please pay particular attention to the instruction of the on-air and applause lights. You will also notice the Foley artist who provides the sound effects. No, there are no computer-generated sounds in 1952. As our show begins, millions of listeners at home are tuning in to our broadcast.
The Skelly Oil Company presents Captain Midnight.
What evil lurks in the hearts of men? Shadow knows.
A fiery horse with the speed of light, a cloud of dust, and the hearty Hi-Yo Silver.
Starring George Burns and Gracie Allen.
story that you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. Bunko Squad is America's favorite weekly radio police drama brought to you exclusively on WBRC by the Bloomfield Rotary Club and Perk Coffee. Don't be a jerk. Always drink Perk.
Perk, perk, perk. Perk coffee means the finest coffee beans. Ask any cop, it's Perk in his cup. The Perk Coffee Company.
Before we begin our exciting show, let me introduce you to our fine cast for this afternoon's production. Tim Donahue. Tim will be portraying a beatnik guitar player. That is not much of a stretch because he is a beatnik guitar player, but Tim hopes to make the most of it. Brian Donahue. Brian will be portraying the son of a beatnik guitar player. How he is going to pull that off, I have no idea. Ken Piazza. Ken hopes to play drums on a stage like this if and when he grows up someday. He has always dreamed of having the opportunity to play a part on a live radio broadcast. Time will tell if he gets a second chance someday. Tom Morrissey. Tom is doing double duty today as a singer and Captain Costello. His biggest concern was not tripping on the stairs during the introduction, and he did very well. Jim Watson. Jim will be voicing both Clifford Cook and Harry Morgan. Jim's schizophrenic personality made this the perfect casting. Stacey Forrett. Stacey is now a veteran of radio dramas, having debuted this past December. She is now expected to supply wine to the cast and crew. This reveals her Grace Under Fire. She will be portraying Grace Under Fire and Daisy Wilted. Travis Piper. Travis will be playing the narrator. Travis has been gracing stages in the Rochester area for nearly 50 years, and the Rochester area is much the richer for it. He has been advised from time to time to use a paint roller to apply makeup to the top of his head. Bill Redman. Bill is new to staged radio drama, and in fact, this is his debut. He handled the hazing pretty well, and he finally remembered to wear his pledge pin for the performance. Wendy Hubert. Wendy is new to our cast, but not to the stage. She will portray Gertrude Heathcliff and Anita Brake, as well as performing the duties of Foley No. 2. Her career highlight is having poked our director with a gun on stage, for which he is still in therapy. Frank Russell. Frank will voice Frank Speaker, a character attribute both Frank and Frank share. Mr. Russell takes great pride in having been described as having the perfect face for radio. Jeannie Biden.
Jeannie is our veteran Foley artist. Look, holy moly, here comes the Foley. She will also be portraying Frida Bandita and our coffee house waitress. Eric Jensen! Eric is portraying Detective Sergeant Joe Friday. Wanting to stretch his skills, Eric thought it would be challenging to portray a character on this side of law and order. His parole officer thought so as well. And I am your announcer, Chris Lyon. And if I'm lying, I'm dying. And now, tonight's presentation of Bunko Squad.
This is the city, Bloomfield, New York. 2 million people live here, work here, farm here, worship here. The overwhelming majority are decent, hard-working, law-abiding citizens, doing their best to make this a better place for their families and their neighbors, while earning a decent wage, living the old-fashioned American way, through hard work, courage, and sweat. Most citizens are generous, trustworthy, honest, and charitable. Occasionally, one is not. That's when I get involved. My name's Friday. I carry a badge. We were working the day watch out of the downtown precinct, Bunko Squad. For the past several months, a man posing as an actor has been passing bad checks in our community. All we have to go by is a description of the suspect, but no real leads for his whereabouts. Our job, get him.
Bunko Squad is the documented drama of an actual criminal case. For the next 90 minutes, in cooperation with the Greater Bloomfield Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of law enforcement through an actual crime transcribed from official police files. You will partner with Detective Sergeant Joe Friday from beginning to end, from crime to punishment. Bunko Squad is the story of your police force in action. This week's episode is entitled Big Bunko in Bloomfield.
It was Monday, January 9th. It was drizzling in Bloomfield. My partner's Frank Speaker. The boss is Captain Costello. I was on my way back to the office at the end of the shift. It was 5:27 p.m. when I arrived at Bunko Squad.
Hi, Joe.
Hi, Cap.
Say, Joe, I just got off the phone with Frank. He asked if you would meet him at the Sibley's cafeteria. Looks like you guys are going to be working late again.
Just part of the job, Cap.
Sibley's flagship store is located in Bloomfield and was a 30-minute drive across town at the time of day due to downtown's heavy commuter traffic. Sergeant Friday parked the vehicle on the 6th level of the Bloomfield Midtown garage and headed up to Sibley's. He found his partner, Detective Frank Speaker, sitting with a handsome woman looking to be in her mid-60s.
Miss Grace under fire? This is my partner, Detective Sergeant Joe Friday.
How do you do, Detective Friday?
My pleasure, ma'am.
I ordered you a cup of coffee and a Boston cream donut, Joe. Is that okay?
Sure, thanks.
All right, so please tell us what this is all about, Miss Underfire.
Oh, please, call me Grace. Sorry you had to wait for me to finish work, but I thought it might be better if we talked up here instead of on the sales floor. At least I would feel better. This is all a little embarrassing.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, would you pass the sugar, please, Detective Speaker?
Oh, yes, ma'am. Here you are.
Well, this is not a pretty thing. I don't know how I could have been so foolish, but I guess when you get to be my age and you haven't got anyone or anything, well, almost any attention makes you forget. His name is Will Skiptown.
Uh-huh. Wonder if you could fill us in on the details.
Of course.
How did you meet Mr. Skiptown?
I met him at the Bloomfield Palladium for the world premiere of the musical The King and I. We were both getting Raisinets during the intermission.
When was that, ma'am?
Between Act 1 and Act 2.
Yes, ma'am. I meant when was the show?
Oh, about 6 weeks ago.
Go ahead, please.
Well, he called me the next day, said he wanted to see me again. Well, I told him I didn't think it'd be proper, but he insisted. So that night we had dinner together. Oh, he seemed so nice. I still can't believe it.
Yes, ma'am.
Such a wonderful time. I didn't think anybody could be so happy. We had a wonderful little place down by the lake, the Roseland Seafood Shanty. Then we went for a long drive and listened to some music on the radio. Glenn Miller was his favorite too. Oh, just beautiful the way the lake looked. Then the Miller Band played Moonlight Serenade. It was so romantic, the song, all the moonlight, and well, everything. It all just seemed so magical.
When did you see him again?
Well, every day after that, I think. He'd call me at work a couple of times, every single day. It got to be a little, embarrassing. Well, the girls at the store here got to kidding me about it, but I didn't care. Then he told me he wanted to marry me. I couldn't believe it. So wonderful.
Yes, ma'am.
He said he wanted me to quit work right after we got married. Said he was pretty old-fashioned that way, didn't want his wife to have to work. I told him I didn't mind working. Told him I rather enjoyed it. Meeting new people and such.
Yes, ma'am.
He said it didn't matter. I should stop working as soon as we got married. That we'd just spend all our time together. And I even agreed to do so.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Then one day he told me he was going to have to take a business trip to Hollywood, California.
When was that, ma'am?
Oh, I guess it's about 3 weeks ago, something like that. He said he didn't want to go, but he needed to get some business cleaned up out there. And as soon as he got back, we'd get married right away. I believed him. Never even once did I doubt that he meant what he was saying. I don't know how I could have been such a fool.
Uh-huh. Go ahead, please, ma'am.
Well, the day that he left, I drove him down to Bloomfield Central Station and saw him off. He was taking New York Central's Mercury train. It's a Pullman, if that's any help to you at all. Well, he kissed me and said that when he got back, we'd get married right away. We were planning to go out to Las Vegas for our honeymoon. Wonderful plans, just wonderful. Then I heard from him when he got to California. Called me collect from the hotel and said he'd lost his wallet on the train. Told me he lost everything. All his money, his identification, everything.
Uh-huh.
Well, that's when he asked me for the $100. I didn't think that anything was wrong, so I sent him the cash.
Where'd you send it, ma'am? And why did you send cash?
Oh, to his hotel, the Hotel California. He checked in, but he couldn't leave. He said he didn't know anyone there, and he couldn't cash a check without identification. He said he only had a couple of dollars in change, and he was putting all his food and everything in his hotel bill so he could get some money through the bank. Said he'd only need $100 to last until the bank cleared his checks, so I sent it. Well, wouldn't you have done the same thing? Wouldn't you?
Did you hear from him after that?
Not a word. At first I thought maybe he was just busy. I did think it was kind of funny he wouldn't say at least something about the money I'd sent, but not a word. Well, then I got worried.
Yes, ma'am.
Finally, after about a week, I called the Hotel California, and even they were surprised he'd been checked out for nearly a week. Well, I figured maybe he was here, back in Bloomfield, wanted to surprise me or something. So I called the place on Western where he rents a room. The landlady told me he'd moved out a few days before. He didn't leave any forwarding address. Something about sticking her with a bad check, too.
Uh-huh.
Well, I didn't know what to think. I didn't want to believe he just used me. There just didn't seem to be anything else to think.
Yes, ma'am.
Then, too, it was only $100. Well, it seemed to me if he wanted to rob me, he'd have asked for more. And I would have sent more, too. I still can't believe it, even when I know it's true.
Wonder if you could give us a description of this Will Skiptown.
Yes, I could do that. Well, let's see. He was rather tall.
About how tall, ma'am?
5'7", 5'8", something like that. He had silver hair, wavy.
How much would you say he weighed?
Oh, I'd just be guessing, but I'd say around 150, 160 or so.
Uh-huh. Wonder if you'd come down to the Bunko Squad and look at a few pictures.
You think you might have one of him?
It's possible, ma'am. Maybe it'd make you feel better if you knew that you were not the only woman who Skiptown has taken.
Oh, I guess deep down I knew that, even if I didn't want to believe it. I guess I knew it was just a confidence game. Such a cruel thing, though, to use a woman's loneliness to rob her.
Yes, ma'am.
When you get along in years and you haven't got much to hold on to, a little attention, Oh, any affection makes you forget everything else. Nothing else seems to matter.
Yes, ma'am. I guess that's the way you figured it.
Friday and Speaker drove Miss Grace under fire to Bunko Squad and had her look at mugshots of known confidence men. She was unable to identify anyone as Skipdown. They drove her back, then clocked out for the night.
Want to come over for dinner, Joe? Gabby's making her famous chipped beef on toast. Best I've had since my
tempting,
army
Frank.
days.
Thanks, but I'm beat. I'm gonna go home and grab a sandwich, prop my feet up, relax, listen to the Burns and Allen show and the radio, and then pour myself a nice, tall, frosty glass of ice cold milk.
That sounds nice, Joe. Real nice. Well, I guess I'll see you in the morning. Good night, Joe.
Good night, Frank.
On Tuesday, January 10th, Sergeant Friday headed to Bunko Squad after stopping for a cup of coffee and a donut, arriving for work at the office at 7:52 a.m.
I told her to report it to herself. Told her it was her duty as a citizen. It is her duty, isn't it? I mean, as a citizen.
Yes, ma'am. Oh, good morning, Joe.
Hi, Frank.
Mrs. Brake, this is my partner, Sergeant Friday.
Mrs. Brake.
Hello, Sergeant.
Seems Mrs. Brake's mother got stuck with a bum check, Joe.
You mean she took a check from a bum?
No, Joe. I mean, she took a check that was fraudulently written. Mrs. Brake's mother is a landlady out on Western.
Well, not a landlady exactly. Only rents out a couple of rooms. More for company than anything else. Dad left her plenty to get by on and off. Lots of Kodak stock, you know. She's a widow. 10 years now. Are you married, Sergeant Friday?
No, ma'am.
Oh, did I mention that Mom's a widow? We'd help her out if it was necessary. Brad and me. That's us. Brad's my husband. That's us. Anita and Brad. Anyway, we help Mom out as much as we can.
So you are Anita Brake and your husband is Brad Brake?
That's right. Truthfully, I gotta say that so far, she's managed pretty well all by herself. She did I mention that she's a widow, Sergeant Friday? However, if she pulls any more fool stunts like this, phony as a $3 bill. See right there, no such account. Big as life, stamped all over it. I just don't understand her. I just don't understand her at all.
Well, anybody can take a bad check, Mrs. Brake, no matter how careful they are. Even with good identification, you can be fooled.
Yes, but when they do, they report it, don't they?
Well, yes, ma'am, usually.
Look at the date. Way last December. Over a whole month ago.
Yeah.
Over a month ago, and she hasn't done a thing about it. Didn't intend to either. Didn't even want me to know. Good thing I started early this year.
Early, ma'am?
On her income tax. That's how I found out about the check. I used to work in a tax office. You and I blink. And I always make out my mother's return for her. If I didn't do it, I don't know who would. I'm sure that she wouldn't. I don't know who could. Doesn't keep any records, not at all. Just stubs and a few bills. Well, someday they'll audit her and she'll find out.
Why didn't your mother report this check herself? Do you know?
You tell me. All I can get out of her is, that man had an honest face. Can you believe that?
How'd she happen to take it?
It was supposed to be for his first month's rent.
Oh, so then she's not out any cash.
Sure she's out cash. $20. That's what she's out. He made the check for $70, and a month rent's only $50. I know it's not a lot of money, but $20 is $20.
Yes, ma'am.
And there's the principal, too.
Yeah, not to mention the interest.
Okay, right?
Go ahead, please.
He's an actor or something like that.
What's that?
It's someone in the movies who plays a character. But that's not important right now. What's important is that Mother said she remembered his name from the movies. That's how she happened to take the check. I don't see why she could trust an actor any more than she would someone else.
May I see that, please? Will Skiptown. Recognize that name, Joe?
Uh-huh. Skiptown. Not likely a coincidence, is it?
I wouldn't think so.
Uh-huh. Well, now that we know he's an actor, I think that name does sound greatly familiar to me. He was in pictures when I was a kid, I believe.
Ah. Oh.
As I remember, I never cared for him much, though. If it's the same guy, the parts he played.
What do you mean?
Villains.
Detective Speaker and Friday told Anita Brake that they would inform her of any progress. After a few hours of paperwork and routine, they were about to follow up on a lead when Captain Costello called them into his office.
Oh, come on in, detectives.
You want to talk to us, Cap?
Joe, Frank, you got a minute?
Sure, Cap.
This is Clifford Cook of the Cook School Bell Company. Detectives Friday and Speaker.
Mr. Cook.
Mr. Cook.
Detective.
Mr. Cook, why don't you tell these detectives what happened?
There's been a robbery.
What is it?
It's when someone takes something that doesn't belong to them.
Uh-huh. What was taken?
My clappers.
Your clappers?
Yeah. You know the things in a bell that make it clang?
The clangers.
That's right. In the business, we call them clappers.
A clapper caper.
What's that?
Nothing, sir. Now can I just have the facts? What kind of clappers were taken in this caper?
They were copper clappers.
And where were they stored?
In a clothing closet.
I see. Do you have any clues about who might have copped the copper clappers from the clothing closet?
Well, there was this man. When I fired him, he swore he'd get even.
What was his name?
Claude Cresswell.
You think he was...
That's right. I think Claude Cresswell copped my copper clappers kept in a clothing closet.
Uh-huh. And do you know where this Claude Cresswell is from?
Yeah. Canandaigua.
Uh-huh. Go on, please.
What makes it worse is that they were clean.
Clean copper clappers?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Why do you think that Canandaigua's Claude Cresswell would copy your clean copper clappers kept in your clothing closet?
Only one reason.
What's that?
He's a kleptomaniac.
Who first discovered that the copper clappers were copped?
The custodian, Carol Clippard.
That figures. Let me see if I've got these facts straight here, Mr. Cook. Custodian Carl Clapper discovered that your clean copper clappers kept in your clothing closet were copped by Claude Cresswell, the kleptomaniac from Canandaigua. Is that about it?
Just one other thing.
What's that?
If I ever catch Claude Cresswell, the kleptomaniac from Canandaigua who copped my clean copper clappers kept in the clothing closet,
Yes?
I'll clobber him.
Thanks, detectives. I'll take it from here.
Good luck, Mr. Cook. Captain.
Mr. Cook, Captain.
They ran the name Will Skiptown through R&I, Records and Identification, which turned out one package listing a D&D, a drunken disorderly arrest in 1935. Joe Friday then called the Screen Actors Guild to see if they could help locate Skiptown. Miss Ionia at the SAG said that she'd check and ask Sergeant Friday to call back in an hour. 12:30 p.m. They left the office after stopping for lunch. They drove out to Western Avenue address that Anita Brake had given them for her mother, Mrs. Gertrude N. Heathcliff. It was a two-story Tudor with a room for rent sign in the front window.
I think somebody's coming.
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Mrs. Heathcliff?
Yes, gentlemen, may I help you?
We're police officers. This is Frank Speaker. My name's Joe Friday.
Police officers?
That's right. Detectives, ma'am.
You can't get nothing on me, you dirty coppers. That was way back in college, and there has to be a statute of limitation on that.
Beg pardon? We're here about a bad check.
Oh, Anita, that's Stooley.
Ma'am?
My daughter Anita, your stool pigeon. She sent you, stinking snitch.
Yes, ma'am?
I told her not to. She never done anything I tell her, never has, nosy brat. I told her, no fuzz.
Be all right if we come in?
You got a warrant, Flatfoot?
Well, no, ma'am, we're not searching for anything. We only have a few questions.
Come on in, then. But the minute I figure you's a fishing, I'm clamming up, see? I know my rights, see? I have a right to remain silent. I watch TV. I've seen Dragnet. Oh, would you officers care for some tea and cookies? Chocolate chip, they're homemade. Yum, yummy.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm sure they are, but I'm trying to watch my weight.
Oh, you look just fine to me, Lieutenant. How about you?
It's Sergeant, ma'am. Still Sergeant. I should have made Lieutenant after 17 years, but you know the politics. Thanks for the offer, but I had coffee and a donut after lunch just a little while ago.
Oh my, the living room is such a mess. I was just putting away the ornaments from the tree. It's a Christmas tree, you know. Have you gentlemen ever seen a Christmas tree? They are so lovely.
Yes, ma'am. Lovely.
It was raining last week when I took it down and I couldn't get it out to the garage. I'm a widow, you know. My husband passed years ago.
Yes, ma'am. Sorry.
Thank you. I won't press charges.
Well, that's up to you, Mrs. Heathcliff.
Gertrude, please. I just couldn't press charges, not against that poor man. I won't. You can't force me to press charges.
No, ma'am.
Suppose you tell us about the check.
Well, there really isn't much to tell.
Your daughter says the man Skiptown gave it to you for rent.
Here, let me get that box out of the way so you have a place to sit.
Can I help you? Here, let me get these for you, ma'am.
Thank you, Sergeant Friday. You are so kind. Such a gentleman.
My pleasure, ma'am. All right, if I put the newspapers over here?
Yes, yes, of course. Please, sit, gentlemen.
Thank you, ma'am.
So the check was for rent, is that right?
That's right.
When did you take it?
Oh, let me see. Last month sometime, a week or so before Christmas. The date's on it, isn't it?
December 7th.
If that's what it says.
Had you ever seen Skiptown before, ever met up with him?
Heavens, no. Not in person. I've seen him in the moving pictures. He said he'd been in a lot of pictures, even the new talkies, too. He seemed very familiar.
Well, now, ma'am, how'd he happen to come here to rent a room?
He saw the sign out front, in the window. He was living in a hotel in one of the Bloomfield suburbs. Rochester, I think he said. Yes, the Cadillac Hotel in Rochester. And he came here to the big city to visit friends.
The Cadillac Hotel, you say?
Yes, I think so. I remember because it sounds so fancy.
What about the people he was visiting?
What about them?
Well, did he tell you who they were?
He may have, but I couldn't say for sure. Not now.
You said he saw the sign?
In the window.
Yes, ma'am.
He came in and asked about the room, if it was still for rent. I showed it to him, upstairs in front. Lovely view, flowered wallpaper, hardwood floors, one of those electric fans right in the window. Furnished, too. I put doilies on the furniture. I just love doilies, don't you, Sergeant?
Doilies? Yes, Mrs. Heathcliff. He agreed to take it, did he?
Call me Gertrude, please. Yes, straight off, straight off. Said he used to live in a house just like this when he was living in Ontario County years ago when his wife was alive. It sort of reminded him of better times. That's how he put it.
And he gave you this check for the first month's rent?
Yes. I suppose Anita already told you. He made it out for $20 extra.
Why was that?
Well, he needed some cash money to move his things and hire a cab.
And you gave him the cash?
$20. I just couldn't let him down.
Why not?
Well, he just seemed honest, that's all. You can tell when a person's honest.
Yeah, sometimes.
And he was so anxious to get the room. He wanted to be almost in time for the holidays. Wanted to be with people, I suppose. I felt sorry for him. No one should be alone at Christmas.
Did you ask for any identification?
No, there wasn't any reason. I recognized his name. Besides, he was going to be living here. If there was anything wrong with his check, I figured he'd be around to make it right.
And you never heard from him again?
Now that doesn't mean he was trying to cheat me.
Well, it sure looks like it, ma'am.
You boys are policemen. You're supposed to suspect people of being dishonest and crooked. I don't blame you for that. It's your job.
Yes, ma'am.
$20?
Ma'am?
$20? Is that any reason to throw a man like Mr. Skiptown in jail?
Well, it might be a bit more than $20. Maybe quite a bit more.
But that's all I gave him. Don't you believe me?
Yes, ma'am, but this man has passed more than just a few bad checks.
I told you before, I won't press charges.
Yes, ma'am. You told us.
You don't understand. He didn't mean any harm.
You sure about that, Mrs. Heathcliff?
Gertrude, please. I'm a pretty good judge of character. I ought to be at my age.
Yes, ma'am.
He's had lots of troubles, Mr. Skiptown.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of troubles. An actor like him probably pulled in a fancy schmancy salary. Never had any worries. Now it's all gone. All his money, his wife, well, everything. If he'd never been rich, it wouldn't be so hard. You don't miss something you never had.
Yeah.
Well, if you're finished with me, I'd like to get back to my housework.
Mind if I use your phone?
Only if it's a local call.
Yes, ma'am. It is.
I have a party line, but the other party is away at a going-away party, I believe. It's in the hall. I'll show you.
That's all right. I'll find it. Thank you.
You know, I didn't mean any offense, Mrs. Heathcliff.
Call me Gertrude, please. Oh, you're just doing your job, detective. Oh, there's some rum balls there while you're waiting, Detective Speaker.
I'd like that, but no thanks. I'm working. I never eat rum balls on the job. Gotta keep a sharp mind.
They're homemade. They were my Red's favorite.
Oh, they look very good, Mrs. Heathcliff, but I'm sort of watching my diet well, rum. You see, I'm on this 12-step program.
Call me Gertrude. Oh, go on. Have one. One little rum ball can't hurt.
Miss Ionia, please. I'll wait, if you don't mind. Thank you. Hello, Miss Ionia. This is Detective Sergeant Friday. I spoke to you a little while back about Will Skiptown. Yeah, that's right. You asked me to call back. Uh-huh. What one's that? Oh, I see. Yes, it certainly does. You bet. Thank you very much. Right. Goodbye.
Boy, I remember this kind when I was a kid. My mom used to make them for Christmas, too.
Oh, your mother sounds like a delightful lady. Maybe you'd like to take a few home with you. I've got plenty extra.
Well, thanks anyway, but they wouldn't let me in the front door if I showed up with cookies and rum balls. I probably wouldn't fit in the front door either. You ready, Joe?
Yeah. Miss Heathcliff, would you like to come down with us, if you don't mind?
Me? What on earth for? Oh, and please, call me Gertrude.
Want to see if you can identify the man who gave you that check?
You mean you've already arrested him?
No, ma'am.
I don't understand.
Well, if we want to show you some mugshots, some photographs.
You want me to pick out Mr. Skiptown's picture?
If you can.
Now that's silly. You don't need me for that. The studios must have pictures of him, the newspapers. Why, that's just downright silly.
It wasn't Skiptown, ma'am.
What?
The fellow who passed that check.
What'd you dig up, Joe?
Skiptown. He died 3 years ago.
Miss Ionia at the Screen Actors Guild had checked with the Motion Picture Relief Home. They reported that Skiptown had lived there from 1938 until 3 years ago when a rope snapped and a piano fell 3 stories and caused his death. Friday and Speaker managed to convince Mrs. Gertrude Heathcliff that she'd been taken by a professional swindler. At Bunko Squad, she looked at mugshots of known bad check artists and con men.
No, that's not him.
How about this one?
I don't think so, no. I'm pretty sure not. Nope, that's not him either.
Well, the picture might be out of date.
Even so, I don't think so.
Well, that's all the mugshots.
Well, Mrs. Heathcliff,
Please, call me Gertrude.
could you describe him for us?
Well, he was quite nicely dressed and very tall. But then again, I'm 5'9", so everyone's tall to me. He was perhaps a little taller than you and that nice detective speaker.
Oh, thanks, ma'am.
So he was at least 5'8".
How would you?
How old would you say he was?
In his 50s. But then again, I'm in my 80s. Everyone looks in the 50s or younger to me these days.
Would you say that it's middle-aged then?
Nice of you to say, you flatterer.
Yes, ma'am. How about this man? Would you say he was in his middle ages?
No, he wasn't dressed like a knight or Robin Hood. No, not in the Middle Ages. He was maybe a touch older than you two.
Did he have gray hair?
That's right. But I'd call it silver, like the silver fox. Nice wave to it, pushed back, nicely combed. Very handsome.
Any tattoos, marks, or scars?
No, none that I mentioned.
How about his eyes?
Yes, how about them? Dreamy, very dreamy.
Yes, ma'am. But I'm interested in the color of his eyes.
Oh, they were blue. But deep, like a mountain lake, with that kind of come-hither quality to them. We used to call them bedroom eyes.
Yes, ma'am. We understand.
He was quite the handsome man, quite the dashing figure. He is a true gentleman with perfect manners. Oh, he is so very distinguished.
Anything else you can tell at all that you can tell us about him?
No, except for his expression.
What do you mean?
It was kind of sad, unhappy, like he'd been through a lot. But I guess that won't help you much, though.
It might.
Is that all?
Yes, ma'am. We'll take you home now.
Officer?
Yes, Mrs. Heathcliff.
Call me Gertrude, please. Would you mind doing me a favor? I'd appreciate it.
What is it, ma'am?
Please, don't tell my daughter about all of this. That it wasn't Mr. Skiptown, I mean. That I was tricked. She'd say it proves I'm not able to take care of myself. I'd never hear the end of it. Oh, she treats me like a child. Plus, she loves to gossip with all her little friends. You don't have to tell her, do you?
No, ma'am.
I'd sure appreciate it. Oh, I know she has my best interests at heart, but nobody likes to be criticized all the time, not by their own flesh and blood. You got any children, Sergeant Friday?
No, ma'am.
Well, then you don't understand how I feel.
Yes, ma'am. Maybe I do.
You couldn't.
Friday and Speaker drove Mrs. Heathcliff to her home. Then at 5:15 p.m. they checked out for the night. They decided to go for a cup of coffee before heading home and stopped at a coffee house that was popular with the college and beatnik crowd, located directly across from the Bloomfield Institute of Technology's sprawling main campus on Maple Avenue, a place called Maynard's Beat. After a few minutes, they managed to find a table.
Oh, crowded tonight, eh, Joe?
Yeah, crowded.
Boy, do you guys want some beans?
Excuse me, miss?
Coffee, Daddy-o, coffee.
Hey, don't be a cube, Rube. What's a buzzin', cousin? No, he didn't want to rattle your cage. How about two of your best?
Solid, Daddy-o. I took you for a free, like 2 shapes and drapes. But you, man, are a hipster. Want any bites?
We'll pass, but you are the most, a real dolly.
Crazy man. Back in a flash.
What was that about, Frank?
Oh, man, don't be a square. Get with it, Clyde.
Uh-huh.
Man, I dig this beat the most. Crazy, Daddy-o.
Did you go to school for that?
Ah, come on, Joe. Don't you remember that film strip that we watched at the last squad meeting?
Sure. The proper care and safety of your service revolver. It's a classic.
That was 2 weeks ago.
Oh, right. Seen it 100 times and I enjoy it more each time than the last.
Yeah, me too. But this week was how to speak bebop, the language of your streets.
Yeah, I was in court.
Missed a good one, Joe.
Next time.
2 cups of beans, direct from Llama Land. These are way out.
Doll, you are the gitches. This beat is the most and the scene is wicked.
What's that?
Like, get with it, Clyde. Don't be a drag. The cat digs the sound. He digs the scene.
Solid girl.
Clyde doesn't dig?
He's learning.
Wild. Check the groove coming. They cook the most like Crazyville.
What did she say?
Basically, she said that the singers are about to start and you'll like it.
Crazy, man. To get you all in the mood for the grooving music, I want to lay on you a wicked poem I know all you cool cats will dig. I call it Jerry Salad. And man, it goes like this. The universe is a grape. Don't drop it. Don't step on it. For it will whine. The tall, bare oak tree illuminates the night sky with a sound unheard, except by the kiwi bird. The snake slithers, but does not walk. It does not run. It is not a dodo bird. Thank you, thank you. I knew you'd all dig it. So meaningful, man, isn't it so meaningful? And now, all you cool cats, here is a boss song from our Tomcat called Coffee Time. Okay, hit it, boys.
Coffee time, my dreamy friend, it's coffee time. Let's listen to some jazz and rhyme and have a cup of coffee. Let me show a little coffee house I know, where all the new bohemians go and have a cup of coffee. Beating time, the music box is beating time. It's good old-fashioned meeting time, so grab a chair and dig me there, 'cause that's just the place that I'm at. Coffee time, my dreamy friend, it's coffee time. Let's sing a silly little rhyme and have a cup of coffee. Yeah, yeah, ba-doo-ba-ba-ba-ba. Skibbity-bop, skibbity-bop. Ship-bop-bop-bow-wow, skidoo-ba-dop. Ah-dibby-dibby-bop. Yeah, 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 yeah. Shibbity-bip-bop-bop, boobity-bop. Ah-doo-ba-da-bow-bow. Greeting time, the music box is beating time. It's good old-fashioned meeting time, so grab a chair, I'll see you there, 'cause that's just the place it's coffee time.
Like that song was gone, Joe.
Well, I've got to get gone myself. Got to take my cat for a walk.
Yeah, man. I got a split too, Daddy-O.
See you in the morning, Frank.
Yeah. See you, Joe.
By the end of the week, 2 more landladies in the general area of Western Boulevard had reported receiving bad checks from a man who claimed to be Will Skiptown. The stories tallied about word for word with what Mrs. Gertrude Heathcliff had told them. Saturday, January 14th, 4:42 p.m. Speaker and Friday checked back into the office after an interview with one of the victims.
Boy, you'd think that guy would wise up. Can't go on using a dead man's name forever. Somebody's going to catch on.
Well, they haven't so far.
Well, sooner or later, someone will.
I thought you were on a diet.
Huh?
I thought you were on a diet.
Well, Joe, I gotta keep up my strength.
Yeah.
Well, a person needs a certain amount of sugar, you know. Well, it's really not that high in calories. Read an article the other day. A spoonful of sugar, only 35 calories.
My mother always said it helped the medicine go down too. Have you lost any weight yet?
Well, I'm holding my own.
You haven't lost any though.
No, I don't want to get thin, Joe. I just want to I'm just sort of, you know, watching it, that's all.
Bunko Squad, this is Friday. Yes, ma'am, it is Saturday. My name is Detective Sergeant Friday. Yes, ma'am, it is a bit unusual. That's right. It's English. Yes, ma'am. A lot of teasing as a kid. Yes, some called me Good Friday. They can be cruel. Yes, ma'am, this is the correct extension. What's that? Could you speak up a little bit, please? I can hardly hear you. What? Hang on just a moment. Let me get something to write on. All right, go ahead, please. It's 2238. Yes, ma'am, I have it. Yes, ma'am, right away. Well, partner, it looks like you had it figured.
What do you mean, Joe?
Somebody did catch on. Woman over near Western Boulevard.
Yeah?
Guy's trying to give her a phony check.
Trying?
Yeah, he's there right now.
This concludes the first part of our presentation of Bunko Squad, brought to you exclusively on WBRC by the Bloomfield Rotary Club and Per Coffee. Don't be a jerk. Always drink Perk.
Perk, perk, perk. Perk coffee means the finest coffee beans. Ask any cop, it's Perk in his cup. Perk Coffee Company.
We will now take a 20-minute break to allow our studio audience to visit the refreshment area, grab a cup of coffee, stretch your legs, and catch your breaths. Stay tuned for more of our exciting presentation of Bunko Squad. The talented musicians in our band will provide some happening tunes during our intermission.
Cigarette holder that wakes me over her shoulder. She digs me out catting that satin doll. A baby shall we go out skipping, careful amigo, you're flipping, speaks a letting that satin doll. She's nobody's fool, but I'm playing it cool as can be. I'll give it a whirl, but I ain't for no girl a-catching me. Telephone number
here with the percussion section for this one. That's what
Never know how much I love you. You never know how much I care. When you put your arms around me, I get a fever that's so hard to bear. You give me fever when you kiss me, a fever when you hold me tight. Fever in the morning, fever all through the night. the daytime and moonlights up the night. I light up when you call my name, and you know I'm gonna treat you right. You give me fever when you kiss me, fever when you hold me tight, fever in the morning, fever all through the night. Everybody's got fever, it's something you all know. Fever isn't such a new thing, fever started long ago. Romeo loved Juliet, but Juliet she felt the same. Brother put his arms around her, said, Juliet, baby, you're my flame. Now give it fever when we kiss it, fever with the flame in you. Fever, I will fire, fever, I'll burn pursue. Captain Smith and Pocahontas, they had a very mad affair. When her daddy tried to kill him, she said, Daddy, oh, don't you dare give me fever. Where this kiss is, fever when it holds me tight. A fever I was missing, so Daddy, won't you treat him right? Now you've listened to my story, and here's a poem that I've made. Chicks are born to give you fever, fever Fahrenheit or centigrade, they give you fever. When you kiss them, fever with your living room. Fever, take a sizzle, what a lovely way to burn. What a lovely